There are many different diets that seem to make an appearance and then fade into the back of everyone's mind. A gluten-free diet is one that has seemed to hold its ground and has been gaining more and more attention. There are many reasons to eat a gluten-free diet, but there are some non-believers that would argue against it. The most important thing to know when trying to keep a strict gluten-free diet is to know what gluten is and what gluten is in. In one of my other speeches, I briefly explained it. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. One of its purposes is to help bind flour in order for it to rise. It is a binding agent that is used for many things that you wouldn't think of, such as soy sauce, licorice, and caramel coloring in sodas. In order to cut gluten completely out of your diet, you must be prepared to read the ingredients on all products. One thing that is exciting for people who follow a gluten-free diet is that the FDA passed a gluten-free labeling regulation on August 2nd, 2013. This is what everyone that eats gluten-free has been waiting for. The regulation will assure consumers that the products they are looking to purchase will be labeled as gluten-free. Products that are labeled gluten-free have to contain less than 20 parts per million, according to the FDA. Manufacturers are required to start following the regulation as soon as possible. This will allow for new products to be available for people following this diet because the product will be clearly labeled gluten-free. Before the regulation, and about 10 years ago, the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act only required the top 8 allergens to be listed. When looking at a product, there are a few things you should look at to determine whether you can eat it. As I stated above, you should be looking for whether it says it's gluten-free or not. Because the labeling isn't in full effect yet, you should look through the ingredients and at the bottom where it states which allergens are in the product to know if it is safe. A lot of times, a product should only be purchased if it is certified gluten-free. Finding something to eat has become more convenient because of stores that are supplying gluten-free foods and because of cell phone apps that help you find restaurants to eat at. When it comes to shaping a diet that has zero gluten in it, it can be time-consuming and range higher in cost. These downsides may weigh heavy on the decision-making of eating gluten-free. Having to spend some extra money in order to stay gluten-free may seem ridiculous, but as someone with gluten intolerance and having eaten gluten-free for almost 2 years, I can assure you that it's worth it. There are many health problems and added health risks that can be traced back to eating a diet consisting of products that contain gluten. There is one health problem in particular called celiac disease. It is rare but very serious. A person with celiac will never be able to eat gluten again, and they must not cheat on their diet because there are long-term negative effects like infertility and getting cancer. Their stomach is not able to digest the gluten, and it will in turn attack the intestines every time it is ingested. It causes many digestive problems and can lead to deficiencies in iron and B12, as well as cause anemia and unintentional weight loss. There is also another person that is suggested to stay away from gluten. They are labeled as gluten sensitive, and there are very many levels of gluten sensitivity. Each person feels the effect in a different way, ranging from stomach aches, migraines, and rashes. There are many health problems that can be positively affected by a gluten-free diet. ADD, diabetes, MS, bipolar disorder, celiac, gluten sensitivity, autism, and depression are all in this category. Cutting out gluten from your diet can lead to improved digestion, more focus, and a cleaner, healthier you, even if you don't have an allergy. If you don't have a gluten allergy, you may contemplate switching diets and spending more money to purchase gluten-free products to avoid all the foods you have been eating your whole life. In my case, even if it weren't necessary for me to eat a gluten-free diet, I would still choose to because of the benefits that you can gain from it. I used to always have headaches and stomach aches. I dreaded waking up in the morning for fear that I would again have a headache. I would starve myself for days because I couldn't handle the pain that was associated with eating. I was miserable and I didn't have a life. Gluten consumed my life and took me as its prisoner, and at the time I had no idea what the cause of my burden was. I'd gone to the doctor multiple times and had millions of tests done. No one could solve my problem. I was finally blessed with an army doctor down in Colorado that knew a lot about eating gluten-free since she had celiac disease. She had nurses draw lots of blood from my body, and it wasn't until 3 weeks later that I went and got my results. She told me that I was allergic to gluten and that I should eliminate it from my diet immediately. She taught me what gluten was and what it was in. I definitely learned a lot from her. I hope that everyone that goes gluten-free does it to feel better and has someone to help them along the way. I am very thankful to have found out the cause of my problems. I feel 10 times better since going gluten-free. Just like going gluten-free for me, you can see gluten-free diets have quick health benefits, but it can also cure some long-term disease symptoms, such as the symptoms associated with muscular dystrophy that develops as you progress in age. Eating gluten-free has also been known to help with sore joints, chronic headaches, stomach aches, acne, healthy weight loss for some, and many more. My fiancé's father has diabetes, and he has recently begun cutting gluten out of his diet, and has seen a lot less fluctuations in his blood sugar levels. The fact that he hasn't even cut gluten completely out of his diet, and he has already seen a substantial amount of improvements, says a lot to me. Being gluten-free can help with countless ailments that can so often plague people. It is said that 1 in 18 Americans have some sort of gluten intolerance. Most people will have subtle symptoms like having an upset stomach, feeling like they have a sugar crush, slight restrictions of breathing, and in many cases, most people will just ignore these symptoms or believe that it was something that they ate, which is completely true, but not in the way that they are thinking. Gluten, in its true form, is not as bad as a genetically modified type that is used in basically all American products. By genetically modifying anything that we consume, you add something unknown to the product, and many things aren't tested fully to see the long-term effects on the human body. Gluten, in its modified form, strips the intestine and the stomach of its protective lining, which can lead to ulcers, and if it goes untreated, the ulcers can lead to more serious problems. Overall, I hope you now can see the benefits of a gluten-free diet, and will keep it in mind next time you eat it and how you feel afterwards. Thank you.